Welcome to A Scottish Ghost Story, A Day, Series 1, Castle Ghosts, brought to you by bagtownclans.com, the podcast that delves into Scotland's most captivating and chilling tales. I'm your host, Derek McDonald. Today, we travel to Blairgowrie, in the heart of Perthshire, where the eerie history of Newton Castle casts a shadow over the rolling hills and woodlands. This ancient structure, dating back to the 14th century, stands as a silent witness to centuries of love, betrayal, and magic. But within its sturdy walls and towering turrets, one legend lingers more potently than the rest, that of Lady Jean Drummond, whose tragic story and haunting melodies echo through the halls to this very day. Newton Castle, a grand and stately building, nestled amidst the picturesque landscapes of Blairgowrie, hides a chilling tale beneath its grandeur. The tale of Lady Jean Drummond, a woman said to have been so deeply in love, so utterly desperate to win the affections of the local laird, that she turned to the darkest of arts, witchcraft. But as we know, meddling with the supernatural seldom ends well. And for Lady Jean, her story takes a turn that not even her enchantments could undo. According to legend, Lady Jean was hopelessly in love with the laird of Newton Castle, a man named Lord Ronald. However, despite her beauty and noble status, her affections were not returned in kind. Lord Ronald was indifferent to her charms, his heart set on another woman. For a while he toyed with Lady Jean's feelings, stringing her along with false hope. But the rejection grew unbearable for Jean, and she sought to make herself more desirable, dressing in the finest silks, adorning her hair with pearls and gems, and hoping against hope that this would rekindle Ronald's interest. Sadly, her efforts were in vain, and the laird's coldness persisted. Despair soon turned to desperation. It was then that Lady Jean turned to an old local witch, a woman feared for her knowledge of dark magic. The witch, steeped in the ancient traditions of Scotland's hidden arts, instructed Jean that no finery could win the laird's heart, but a charm of enchantment could. She advised Jean to dress in the witchin claither green, garments imbued with the power to bend another's will. To create this magical attire, Lady Jean was told to gather grass from the churchyard, cut a branch from a rowan tree at the gallows, and weave these elements together with reeds. These were strange and ominous tasks, but Jean, driven by her obsession, completed them with determination. Under the cover of darkness, she went to the Corby stone by the cobble pool, waiting as instructed. Hours passed, and just as exhaustion began to overtake her, Jean felt something cold and eerie tugging at her clothes. She fell asleep and awoke at dawn, dressed entirely in green, her witchin claith complete. The magic worked, or so it seemed. Lord Ronald, captivated by the mysterious allure of Lady Jean's new attire, fell under her spell. The pair were soon married, and Jean believed her love had finally been won. But as they stood together on their wedding night, disaster struck. Ronald, who had been mesmerized by her all day, suddenly recoiled in horror. Her hand, cold as ice, gripped his in a deathly chill, and her face grew pale. In that moment, Jean let out a terrible, blood-curdling scream, and collapsed to the ground. To Ronald's utter horror, his new bride had died in front of him. The joyous wedding day had turned into a night of unthinkable tragedy. Lady Jean's lifeless body was laid out on the very bed where they were to have consummated their marriage. The mysterious green dress, which had once appeared so magical, now seemed like a curse. Jean was buried near the castle, but her tragic story didn't end with her death. Since that fateful night, the ghost of Lady Jean Drummond has haunted Newton Castle. It is said that her mournful spirit can be seen wandering through the halls, a forlorn figure dressed in green, forever seeking the love that was never truly hers. The eerie sound of her voice, singing sorrowful love songs, has been heard drifting from the castle's tower, especially on stormy nights when the wind howls through the trees. Her songs, filled with longing and heartbreak, remind those who hear them of her unfulfilled desires and the terrible price she paid for dabbling in dark magic. Legend also tells of a strange phenomenon at Lady Jean's grave. Each Halloween, her gravestone is said to turn 3 times on its own, as if stirred by some restless force. And on those nights, her ghostly singing becomes especially poignant, her spectral voice carrying through the autumn air like a lament for the love she could never hold. Witnesses who have visited Newton Castle report seeing a figure dressed in green walking through the castle grounds, her presence felt as a sudden chill in the air, or a fleeting shadow at the edge of their vision. Some have even claimed to see Lady Jean's sorrowful face in the windows of the castle's tower, gazing out at the landscape, forever tied to the place where her love story took such a dark and tragic turn. So, if you find yourself near Blairgowrie and decide to visit Newton Castle, listen carefully as the sun sets and the night takes hold. You might just hear the ghostly strains of Lady Jean's love songs drifting from the castle's ancient walls, a reminder of a love lost, a life cut short, and the perilous consequences of seeking power over the human heart. Thank you for joining me on a Scottish ghost story a day. Newton Castle is rich with history, but the tale of Lady Jean Drummond lingers as a haunting reminder of the price of obsession and the dark arts. Until next time, I'm Derek McDonald. Stay curious and stay safe.